Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 264 based on novel. So let's start. In the ghost world, most of them are in some gloomy places, because the ghosts of ghost world creatures are mostly eerie, and these environments are conducive to their cultivation and growth of strength, but there is one exception. Soul Eater. The headquarters of Soul Eater is in a blue sky surrounded by sunlight all day long. This place is called the City of Soul Eater. The entire castle stands in the sky, surrounded by an extremely tyrannical force of prohibition. This force of prohibition makes many strong people stay away, not to mention that there are still some in the castle. There are many supreme beings in Soul Eater domain. If someone wants to break into it, I am afraid it is no different from seeking death. In the sky, a huge castle slowly stood up, and the appearance of the castle was also extremely strange. From a distance, it turned out to be like a bite, which was quite complicated. Around the castle, the soldiers who were constantly on patrol walked back and forth to protect the castle, and the inside of the castle was the habitat of the real high-level Soul Eater. I've been restless lately. I don't know why. In the central area of the castle, in the Silver Palace, this Silver Palace is extremely simple, with only a relatively simple up and down steps, and the silver throne. Above the throne, a beautiful figure leaned on the throne slowly, with her jade hand stroking her piercing beautiful eyes, looking tired. A faint aura slowly permeated this Qianying's body. Under this aura, it seemed that the whole world was dimmed. Qianying had black hair and gave the delicate face like a porcelain doll to her face. Perfectly outlined, coupled with the seductive body that was slightly bent and leaned on the throne, the whole body revealed a pride of the superior. Master has been missing for so long and there is still no news. There are too many incidents inside Soul Eater domain. In addition, there are several tyrannical forces that have been extremely uneasy recently. Helplessly shook his head, and then gently stood up from the throne. Your Majesty, someone has returned from the space teleportation formation and is entering the secret way. Do you want to change the exit of the secret way? The next moment, a man in black, bathed in black aura, walked directly from the void beside the silver throne. He came out and said respectfully, "Ads by Pub Future. Secret way? Hurry up and change, otherwise it will be found by the powerhouses of the 7 courtyards, and it will be a lot of trouble." When the lazy Her Majesty heard the words, there was a hint of excitement in her beautiful eyes. This secret path, with its extremely tyrannical prohibition, was set up at the peak of the Lord of Soul Eater, and because of its mysterious nature, only a few of my senior brothers and my master's confidants knew about it, but later the powerhouses of the 7 courtyards will also know the exit location. Now that there are people stepping on this secret way, how can Xiao not be excited? Golum. Hearing the words, the man in black nodded slightly, and then on the black robe, a mysterious black rune fell off directly from the black robe, and then slowly attached to the void in front of the two. Middle. This is. And as the man in black robe acted like this, the exit of the secret passage was suddenly transferred to the two of them. Lord Xiao, it's really been a long time. The next moment, the void shook slightly, and a rather handsome figure slowly emerged. Ghost Son. Xiao couldn't help exclaiming. You actually didn't die. The man in black robe was also shocked. Hey, drag my lord's blessing, I'm not dead yet. Ghost Soul grinned. My lord. Gloomy Soul, what do you mean? The man in black robe was at a loss when he heard the words. Ads by Pub Future. This ghostly soul and some of the powerhouses in the Soul Eater domain, at the beginning of the great battle between the Master of Soul Eater and the Lord of Lee Soul, after the Lord of Soul Eater was defeated and disappeared bizarrely, the Lord of Lee Soul fought the severely injured body. He wanted to obliterate the entire Soul Eater domain, but fortunately, Lord Xiao gave up the idea because of the desperate fight against him. After all, although the Master of Soul Eater disappeared, the high-level people in Lee Soul territory also suffered heavy losses in the previous battle. In the end, the Lord of Lee Soul took away many strong men of Soul Eater before he was willing to give up. Those powerhouses are undoubtedly dejected. The reason why the Lord of Lee Soul did this was to weaken the strength of Soul Devourer. However, under the leadership of Master Xiao, although he lost a lot of powerhouses, he was desperately trying to die. When resisting, the Lord of Lee Soul did not dare to fight with Soul Devouring Domain, so he gave up the encirclement and suppression of Soul Devouring Domain by grabbing some Soul Devouring Domain powerhouses as a bargaining chip. Otherwise, there was no such almighty Lord of Soul Eater at that time. If the Lord of Lee Soul insisted on obliterating and annexing the Soul Eater domain, although it would take a lot of trouble, it would be more than 70% sure. You Soul Son, I hope you don't hold grudges against the Senate for what happened back then. These are all my own ideas. If you want to blame me, you can blame me. Hao Enaya smiled lightly. Lord Hao Enaya, my subordinates dare not. When my lord disappeared mysteriously, if it wasn't for Lord Hao Enaya to stand up, I'm afraid our Soul Eater domain would have ceased to exist. Ghost Son, you just said that my lord saved you. The man in black robe spoke. Yes. After we were taken away by the Master of Soul Li, many strong people were directly obliterated, and the remaining strong and tyrannical people resisted the attack of the Master of Soul Li, and were imprisoned by the Master of Soul Li under the realm of Soul Li, sealed places everywhere. I was imprisoned by the Lord of Li Soul on the Ice and Fire Island on the east continent of Yinhan. I happened to meet the Master a few days ago and was rescued by the Master. And this time back to Soul Eater is also to tell Lord Hao Enaya of my lord's revenge plan. Ghost Soul said. Ghost Soul, you have been arrested for so many years, who knows your identity? Attacking Li Soul territory is not a child's play. Hai Pao Man heard the words and couldn't help sneering, although he also wanted to take revenge, but Li Soul territory's the strength has already surpassed their Soul Eater domain by too much, not to mention the whereabouts of the Soul Eater Lord is now unknown, and revenge now is probably no different from sending death. My lord has long expected this situation, so. Seeing this, the ghost boy did not hesitate, his palms slowly spread out, and suddenly a small blood-colored rune engraved with countless gloomy and bloody, silent appeared in the palace. This is a Soul Eater talisman? How is that possible? Seeing this, the black-robed man couldn't help but burst into shock in his pupils. The Soul Eater talisman. It really is the Master's breath on it. Hao Nia's beautiful eyes swept over the blood-colored rune, and he immediately smelled the familiar breath of the Soul Eater Lord. Ghost Son, welcome home. Take a good rest today. Tomorrow, I will gather the strong men of the Senate to discuss the plan to attack Li Soul domain together. Hao Enaya's eyes were filled with relief and satisfaction. But Your Majesty, the stubborn old people in the Senate, I'm afraid they won't agree to this plan so easily. After all, Soul Eater has only recovered a lot of weather after so many years of management. If it suffers a heavy blow, I'm afraid. The black-robed man was extremely worried. Boom boom boom. Darkness. This seat knows that you are kind, but the Soul Eater talisman is here. If you disobey the order, you will be killed without mercy. Even if it's the Senate, it's the same. The next moment, a smear of black energy, with the power of the strongest, suddenly hit the black-robed man's body, and then Hao Enaya snorted coldly. ~1 Yes, Her Majesty. Both the Ghost Soul and the man in the black robe said respectfully. And Ghost Soul finally knew why this Master Hao Enaya was the most proud disciple of the Soul Eater Master. Just this kind of arrogance, I am afraid that it is comparable to an extraordinary human being. Master, wait a moment, this time, Enaya will avenge your revenge and take you home. Hao Enaya sat back on the silver throne, with a strong aura that dominates the world, slowly filled the entire palace. In this way, Soul Eater started a series of planning and preparations. When the preparations were completed, they would immediately declare war with Li Soul domain. At that time, Xiao Yan was probably also joining the four great courts to help the Lord of Soul Eater restore his original power. Everything is proceeding in an orderly manner. The competition for 50 people to advance to the top 25 lasted for 10 days, and Xiao Yang and the others did not make it past the first day after finishing their competition. On this day, Xiao Yang was living in his own room, trying to reconcile his fighting chi in his body. Now Xiao Yang's fighting chi has reached the peak of the early 2-star fighting immortal stage, and he is only one step away from the middle 2-star fighting immortal stage. No, it's still close. After a while, Xiao Yang also sat up directly from the bed, shook his head and said, "Forget it, it seems that the 2-star Dozian midterm will not be able to advance for a while." Xiao Yang was relieved after struggling to no avail. He originally wanted to use the rest of the few days to improve his strength, but this mere one. The gap between the small ranks was like a gulf, and Xiao Yang could not solve it even if he racked his brains. The matter of strength can't be rushed, it pays attention to a matter of course. The Lord of Soul Eater enlightened. Xiao Yang nodded lightly, and did not continue to break through, otherwise, forcibly breaking through would lead to no small sequelae. By the way, didn't you get a scroll of wood attribute fighting skills in Ice and Fire Island? It happened just before that you fought with Mu Xiao. You also have some insights. Why don't you take it out and practice together? I'm afraid it will have a multiplier effect. Seeing Xiao Yang's dejected appearance, the Master of Soul Eater said. Yes. When Xiao Yang heard the words, he was instantly overjoyed. If it wasn't for his master, he would have forgotten about it. The wood attribute fighting skill scroll obtained in Ice and Fire Island is obviously not low in level, and now it can just become another means of pressing the bottom of the box for Xiao Yan. Shabu Shabu. As always, he directly displayed his dazzling soul power and completely enveloped his wooden house, so that he could slowly proceed to the next step. This was also the basic habit Xiao Yan developed while walking outside. The top 25 qualifying competition will start in a month, so Xiao Yan is not afraid that the time will be too late. Ads by Pub Future. I hope it will be a good thing. Xiao Yan slowly twisted his acceptance ring, and suddenly the wood attribute scroll he obtained from Icefire Island was taken out by himself. The material of this scroll is quite high-quality sheepskin scroll, but the luster on it is very dim, I don't know why. Wood attribute. Xiao Yan murmured softly, and immediately smelled a rather familiar aura from the sheepskin scroll. This aura was even the wood-type fighting core that made Xiao Yang's soul return to his body. They all exuded a scorching aura, and then Xiao Yan did not hesitate to activate the second Do core in the Do Chi Si in his body. Wang buzzing. A trace of a firefly-like green aura slowly emerged from Xiao Yang's battle Chi Si, and then poured into the sheepskin scroll. At that time, on the dull sheepskin scroll, a burst of energy suddenly appeared. A burst of vitality, a strong wood attribute also followed, and a rather tyrannical atmosphere radiated from the scroll. ~1 .chi.1z.c. Although I don't know the reason for this, it really needs the nourishment of wood-type fighting chi to stimulate it. Seeing this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but smile. Next, let me see, what exactly is this? Xiao Yan smiled, and immediately held the sheepskin scroll in his palm. Buzz. Just as he held the sheepskin scroll, a dazzling green aura suddenly burst out, and a vibrant wood property slowly diffused out. Sacred level primary wood attribute fighting skills, magic wood map. The type of magic wood, including all wood attributes, vines, trees, dead leaves, and grass. This fighting technique is mainly based on entangling and binding the enemy. It can be used with full force. It can mobilize or summon trees in a radius of dozens of miles, so as to grow wildly, entangle, attack, and imprison. It is the only fighting technique for killing people and fleeing. You are cherished. Xiao Yang's soul power had just been probed, and suddenly a majestic voice filled the air. This breath, even if it was only a trace of the remaining soul imprint, made Xiao Yang slightly startled. It can be seen that this the creator of the wood attribute fighting skill scroll. His strength must have been terrifying in his lifetime. Magic wood map. The defensive ability of this thing is beyond your imagination, because it does not need to be used in forests or places with strong wood attributes. Even in the sky, it can be displayed anywhere, but its power is naturally not in humans with strong wood attributes. Local tyranny. Ads by Pub Future. Once cast, the magic wood will attack or defend according to the caster's intention. Lord Soul Eater smiled. Crash. The Soul Eater's voice just finished speaking, and the green aura on the sheepskin scroll suddenly shook, instantly sucking Xiao Yang into it. The inner space of the fighting skill scroll? Xiao Yang was also a little surprised and said slightly. For many high-level fighting skills, only the basic cultivation techniques are recorded on the fighting skills scrolls, but there is a trace of the maker's soul imprint hidden in the scrolls, so that latecomers can better cultivate their own fighting skills. That's. Having just absorbed the internal terror of the Do skill scroll, a phantom suddenly appeared in front of Xiao Yang. That phantom seemed to last forever, and it seemed to be waiting for something. It didn't move slightly until Xiao Yang entered. Here I'm optimistic. This is a trace of energy left by the fighting skill maker. It contains the display of the magic wood map. Look carefully. The Soul Eater shouted loudly. Yes. Xiao Yang heard the words, his soul power was released, and he felt every move of this guy. Who? Shu Ying glanced at Xiao Yang lightly, and then the figure suddenly exploded, and a trace of strange lines slowly poured into the void. Magic Mewtwo. An unruly roar echoed directly in the entire space. Then, incomparably huge green vines, trees in the sky, and some dead leaves suddenly emerged, surrounding the phantom. It's so strong. Xiao Yang was aware of the tyranny of those magic woods at this moment. Wang buzzing. After a while, those magic trees grew frantically, and even Xiao Yang was surprised by the speed of their expansion. Moreover, the growth and expansion of this speed, even the breath above the magic wood, is becoming more and more tyrannical. It's terrifying. Seeing the vines, dead leaves, and other magic trees beside the phantom, Xiao Yang was pleasantly surprised. With this fighting skill, I am afraid that my means will be improved even more. Xiao Yang smiled slowly, then without hesitation, he sat cross-legged directly. The practice of magic wood map. The tyranny of this magic wood map is far beyond Xiao Yang's imagination, but Xiao Yang is quite confident about cultivation. A month passed in a blink of an eye. During this month, Yu Ranran and Liu Qing's 2 daughters came to Xiao Yang several times. Obviously, they had something to discuss with Xiao Yang, but they looked at the tyrannical outside Xiao Yang's residence. The 2 of them could vaguely guess that Xiao Yang should be in retreat, so he didn't bother. Otherwise, if he bothered Xiao Yang rashly, he would probably make Xiao Yang go crazy. Sister, do you think big brother Xiao Yang can make the top 3? Yu Weiyu asked with her hand on her chin above the pavilion. Since Yu Ran came to the Thunder Realm, Yu Ranran has been strictly controlled by Yu Ranran, and Yu Ranran is almost in her room. The reason is that Yu Ranran gave Yu Ran some tyrannical martial arts and fighting skills, which led to the rain closed the door slightly. ~1 .chi.1z.c. Hope is great, but this time there are a lot of strong people in the top 25, and they are too strong. Even me, I don't have much chance of winning the top 10. Yu Ranran shook her head slightly. No, elder sister, you are so powerful. Yu Wei hurriedly comforted after hearing this. Wang Om. While the 2 women were talking, the figures of Liu Qing and Du Qifei slowly appeared outside the pavilion. What a coincidence. Seeing this, Duo Qifei hurried up and greeted the 2 daughters Yu Ranran. You are also looking for big brother Xiao Yang? Yu Wei naturally didn't know the details of Liu Qing and Du Qifei, but seeing that she had a close relationship with her sister, she couldn't help asking, and the road was not far away. Is Xiao Yang's residence? He asked immediately. Weiya, you can go back. Today is the day for the top 25 competition. I have nothing to do with you for the time being. I will let you play well in the second stage. Yu Ranran smiled and touched Yu Wei's forehead. En. Yu Wei nodded lightly and then went back. Let's go too. Yu Ran said softly, and immediately headed towards Xiao Yang's residence. Ads by Pub Future. The 3 women walked side by side facing Xiao Yang's residence, which made many disciples around them look envious. After all, the 3 women's looks were the best choice. I was going to find you guys. The 3 girls just moved for a while when Xiao Yang's hearty laughter burst out. You can be considered to be out of the customs. If you do not, I am afraid that the competition for the top 25 can only be regarded as abstention. Du Qifei laughed. This is also impossible. I got some feelings from the competition, so I took advantage of the 1-month break to retreat. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly. Let's go. The next moment, Xiao Yang said with a smile, and then the 3 of them teleported to the space and left. Crash. After a while, the 4 figures gathered in the deserted arena. Humph. Which guy is this blind guy? I wonder if Miss Qifei is our son's favorite person. To come so close. Can't you find death? Xiao Yang's team of 1 man and 3 women had just arrived in the arena, and immediately attracted envious and hateful eyes from the surrounding people. It's really a disaster. Xiao Yang glanced at the 3 girls unintentionally, and found that the 3 girls had their own characteristics, but he didn't notice what the people around them were talking about. Hey, Xiao Yang. The next moment, Duo Qifei glanced around and suddenly saw some acquaintances, including Fenghua Valley's Fengyu's own Spider Li from the 6th Holy Religion, and then came to Xiao Yang's side and made an extremely intimate action. Ads by Pub Future. Everyone saw Du Qifei gently covering Cherry's mouth, and then whispered in Xiao Yang's ear, "Did you see that guy? That guy is very annoying. Could you give me a shield for a while, and the benefits will be yours after the fact?" Oh! Xiao Yang heard the words and looked up immediately, and what caught his eye was a man with a violent aura. The man was dressed in a military uniform, and on top of that face, there were tiny scars. At first glance, he knew that he was a strong man who walked on the edge of life and death all year round. Hello, Mercenary Union Pastoral Song. Before Xiao Yang could react, seeing Du Qifei looking like this towards Xiao Yang, the man walked over directly to Xiao Yang, then stretched out his palm, trying to talk to him. Xiao Yang shook hands, but Xiao Yang sensed a trace of anger. Xiao Yang. The soldiers came to block the water and cover up, but Xiao Yang helplessly stretched out his hand and grasped it. Shabu shabu. The palms of the 2 just touched, and in the arena, a fierce wind suddenly emerged from the 2 of them. Obviously, the 2 were shaking hands on the surface, but in fact, they were secretly fighting behind their backs. Damn. This kid's strength doesn't seem to be simple. Mu Ji was slightly surprised. His strength has reached the perfection of the 2-star Dozian, and even the strongest of the younger generation in the entire Lei Cheng, now facing Xiao Yang, he actually felt an unfathomable feeling from Xiao Yang, which was something that had never happened before. This guy, such a terrifying power. Feeling the force that was constantly emitting from his palm, Xiao Yang didn't step back, and directly confronted him. Let go. Duo Chifei couldn't help but said coquettishly, as if seeing Xiao Yang and Mu Ji's palms clasped tightly for a while and there was no sign of separation. Feia, long time no see. Du Chifei said as soon as he finished speaking. The two of them retracted their palms at the same time, and Mu Ji also scratched his head and said, Humph. The game is about to start, you should play well. Du Chifei said directly with slight dissatisfaction. You've lost weight. Why does it come back? This Madrigal is the most outstanding genius in the mercenary trade union. Relying on his excellent talent and strength, he has used the power of the mercenary trade union to propose marriage to his father several times. Fortunately, his father did not agree, but he expressed his admiration for him all day long, making Du Chifei extremely depressed. Hey, it's really early for you all to come today. Just when Du Chifei and Mu Ji were evenly matched, Du Tianfeng's voice slowly fell. Starting today, the 25 people you are present will compete for the top 12 one by one. Duan Tianfeng said. Top 12. 25. What if there is one more person? A strong man muttered a few times. In the top 25 competition, there are a total of 12 duels, and there is only one person left. Naturally, they fail to advance directly and tie for the top 12. I don't know who would be so lucky, Duan Tianfeng said with a smile. Let's start. The strong people here today are all strong people with good strength, so I think every game will be very exciting at this time. The contestants on the side couldn't help but said. In that case, let's get started. This time, the competition is still mainly based on drawing lots. As soon as Du Tianfeng finished speaking, the wooden box for drawing lots immediately appeared. Let's go. He said hello to Yu Ran Ran, and they immediately headed towards the draw. I'm blue number 1. After a while, Xiao Yang and Yu Ran Ran suddenly returned to the distance, with a note in their palms. Xiao Yang, what number are you? Seeing that Yu Ran Ran was actually number 1, Duo Chifei was also curious. I'm a Bai. Xiao Yang helplessly flipped out the note. The three women heard the words, and their heads were covered with black lines. They never imagined that such a terrifying guy like Xiao Yang would be so lucky. Next, there are contestants who are also number 1. Please enter. After a while, Du Tianfeng's voice slowly emerged. There are 2 contestants who are the same number 1, please enter the arena. Du Tianfeng's voice slowly permeated outside the arena for a long time. The competition between the top 25 and the top 12 was extremely exciting. I'll go first. Yu Ran Ran smiled at Xiao Yang, then let out a long sigh of relief before heading towards the competitive mountain range. With a pop, he immediately penetrated the energy light shield and sank into the competitive mountain range, waiting for the battle. I didn't expect that my opponent was actually her. The next moment, in the crowd, the voice of Madrigal moved slightly, and then stepped out of the crowd, also submerging into the competitive mountain range. Damn, Ran Ran is no match for this guy. This guy is too strong. Seeing Mu Ji's appearance, Xiao Yang was suddenly shocked. After all, he still had a lot of goodwill towards Yu Ran Ran, so he couldn't have an accident so easily. Fast, if you lose in a while, then admit defeat. This guy is very strong. The next moment, Xiao Yang's dazzling soul force directly carried the message Xiao Yang wanted to convey, quietly penetrating the energy knot. World, came to Yu Ran. Oh, soul voice transmission? It is possible to penetrate this level of enchantment energy, and this guy's soul power is probably not weak. Mu Ji had just rushed into the sky above the competitive mountain range, and immediately noticed Xiao Yang's actions and said, Who? It's very strong, but who will kill the deer, I still don't know. Yu Ran Ran easily crushed Xiao Yang's soul through voice transmission, and then turned her beautiful eyes to face the pastoral song. She knew that she could not be this guy anyway. An opponent, but Yu Ran Ran is not someone who shrinks when encountering difficulties. Even if he fails, he still has to find out some useful information for Xiao Yang. You admit defeat. In my battles, there is no distinction between men and women. If there is a battle, one party will be injured or killed. And you and Chi Fei are supposed to be friends, so I don't want to hurt you. Mu Ji's eyelids twitched slightly, and he wasn't ready to do anything. The strength of the pastoral is that the real 2-star Dozian is complete, and with this strength behind the scenes, it is indistinguishable from the ordinary powerhouses in the early stage of the 3-star Dozian. An ant makes no difference. Humph. Who said women are inferior to men? Stop talking nonsense. Look at the tricks. Wind and whirlwind. The next moment, Yu Ran didn't have any hesitation. The blue-colored Do Chi suddenly revolved, and a tyrannical attack suddenly attacked the pastoral song. Since you insist on courting death, then you can't blame me. Seeing this, Mu Ji was a little surprised at Yu Ran's courage. After all, the gap between the two was too huge, and Yu Ran was the first to attack without any fear. Crash. Yu Ran naturally knew that this person in front of him was the pastoral song known as the strongest in the Thunder World, so he didn't hold back at all, and the moment he made a move, it was a tyrannical attack. Everyone outside the arena saw that the Yu Ran's delicate body was surrounded by a cyan Do Chi, and the cyan Do Chi instantly turned into a small hurricane with a scale of several tens of meters. The fluctuation of people's suffocation even caused a crack in the sky of the competitive mountain range. Very good attack. The pastoral still showed no signs of doing anything, and the corners of his mouth moved slightly. This guy, is it too arrogant? Some strong people outside the field couldn't help but say. Although Yu Ran's strength is weak, but such a tyrannical attack, the two-star Do Xian perfect powerhouse may also be severely injured. The strength of this guy, Mu Ji, is probably getting more and more tyrannical. Feng Yu of Fenghua Valley couldn't help but said, even he, facing the pastoral song, is under huge pressure, not to mention that his strength is only to the reign in the late stage of Xingduxian flies. Is this pastoral song taken lightly? Liu Qing on the side said. It's not like, I once played against the pastoral song and was suppressed everywhere. This guy is not only talented, but he has also accepted the tasks of the mercenary union for many times, and has experienced many battles. He is a real powerhouse. Duan Qifei's big watery eyes also flashed a little solemnity. Obviously, even if she is against the pastoral song, the odds of winning are quite small. She will lose. She is testing the strength of the pastoral song for herself. The next moment, watching Yu Ran's attack combined with the sound transmission that had just wiped out his soul, Xiao Yan also understood Yu Ran's mind. Boom. The small hurricane was like a death ray, and its speed was so fast that it came to the pastoral in an instant. And the seemingly devastating blow came to Mu Ji. Mu Ji gently stretched out his finger, and at one point, the small hurricane was like an ice cube, solidifying in an instant, and then under the doubts of everyone, shattered in degrees. Ice attribute. Realizing that her offensive was broken in an instant, Yu Ran also figured out this guy's attribute. Ice attribute. This is a similar attribute to water attribute, but it is completely different. Ice attribute vindictiveness is more controlled than the many properties of water attribute. The ice attribute and Xiao Yang's fire attribute are exactly in the relationship of mutual generation and mutual restraint. Ice and water can put out the fire, but as long as the power of the flame is stronger than the power of ice or water, they can be destroyed in turn. Want to run? I won't give you a chance, because I said, if you don't admit defeat, I'm afraid this will be your cemetery. Frozen. As soon as the pastoral entered the battle, he became fully devoted, regardless of the outside world. In his eyes, only the number of opponents or the elimination of opponents can win. Bang bang bang. The pastoral voice just fell, and immediately above the competitive mountain range, a piece of cold suddenly hit. Even under the strong control of the ice attribute, even this space was temporarily imprisoned. The wall of wind. Yu Ran felt an extremely tyrannical pressure, and suddenly a grudge filled her body, forming a cyan light shield in front of her, trying to resolve this special cold air. Cece. At this time, the pastoral song, milky white energy is constantly overflowing, and this energy is mixed with an extremely cold chill. If it is touched for a long time, it may damage the source. Ice picks. Seeing that the entire sky was filled with his milky white cold air, he suddenly hummed, and a milky white giant sword composed of cold air slowly emerged. There was no other aura above the giant sword, but when he saw this giant sword, even Xiao Yang felt a sense of fear in his heart. It's raining. That's enough. A roar emerged directly from Xiao Yang's mouth. I admit defeat. Hearing Xiao Yang's words, Yu Ran was about to use more aggressive means, but she shook her head slightly. Rain flies against the pastoral song wins. Du Tianfeng instantly appeared in the competitive mountain range, announcing the end, and the pastoral song's tyrannical attack also dissipated. Are you alright? Just after leaving the competitive mountain range, Yu Ran's legs suddenly became weak, and she collapsed instantly, feeling rather haggard and weak. Sorry. I didn't force him to do much. A shadow appeared on Yu Ran's pale face. Don't worry, this guy, I will defeat him personally. Xiao Yang gave Yu Ran a reassuring smile. This bastard. Seeing this, Du Chifei couldn't help cursing at the madrigal beside him. Liu Qing, send Ran back to rest, I still want to take a look. Xiao Yang's eyes became fierce, and a violent breath slowly permeated. Obviously, this man named Mu Ji provoked Xiao Yang's murder. Meaning. En. Liu Qing nodded slightly and took Yu Ran back to rest. Brother Mu Ji, you are really tyrannical in this fight. Just as Mu Ji returned to the arena, a figure suddenly said slowly. This figure's strength is also in the late stage of the two-star Yan, but he revolves around the pastoral all day long, like a flattering villain. Your opponent doesn't seem to be weak. Mu Ji didn't say much, just said lightly. Based on his experience, he naturally knew that the guy had a wishful thinking in his heart. Of course he couldn't be fooled. This guy's name is Huang Hu, and he is a not weak family in Lei Cheng, but this guy doesn't do his job. He holds the disciples of the 8 major families like them all day long, trying to win their trust with flattery, so as to help his family. The guy got stronger, so he got close. Huang, who heard the words, nodded lightly, then slowly sank into the competitive mountain range and started the battle. Chifei, I should have given you face just now, right? Otherwise, when I encounter other contestants, when my ice attribute chill appears, it is already a cold corpse. Mu Ji looked at Du Chifei and muttered to himself. This guy. Du Chifei naturally did not pay attention to himself, but to the competition in the competitive mountain range, but the man beside Du Chifei was full of majestic killing intent. This guy's strength is actually only in the early stage of the two-star Yan. But I hope that we can meet him in the next battle, maybe he is a not weak opponent. Mu Ji naturally found the violent aura on Xiao Yang's body. This kind of aura, only humans who have experienced a real life and death battle will have it. The second battle, Huang Hu wins. Duan Tianfeng kept announcing, and since he was in the arena that was brightly lit all day, it was more than a month after this time passed. The strength of a month, 25 wonderful battles, are also slowly unfolding. Among them, the 8 tyrannical forces of Lei Cheng, except for the refining pharmacist, did not participate, and the disciples of the other 7 forces successfully attacked the top 12. The disciples of these 7 major forces became Xiao Yang's strongest opponents. After a month of competition, the top 12 of our first stage have appeared smoothly. No, to be precise, it should be the top 13. Duan Tianfeng corrected. After the 3-day rest period, there will be competitions, so that the top 9 can be directly promoted, and then the top 6 will be competed to compete for the top 3. Du Tianfeng continued. The top 3, you can directly advance to the top 9 and have the opportunity to participate in the 4 continents competition. Why do you have to compete for the top 6 and the top 3? Feng Yu asked a little puzzled. That said, it's just that the top 9 have the qualifications to directly advance to the 4 continents competition, while the top 3 are only rewarded. Duan Tianfeng said with a slight smile. Only the top 3 are rewarded. After hearing the words, a dozen figures couldn't help but look at each other. The final reward for this first stage has been decided. The first place will get a Thor scroll. The second place will get a complete set of weapons and body protection equipment. The third place can get a 3rd-grade fairy weapon made by the owner of the valley. The 4th to 9th places can directly advance. If you don't want to participate in the front 3, after the next top 10 places are confirmed, you can withdraw directly. Duan Tianfeng said slowly. Thor scroll? I can't believe that such a small forged knife Thunder Valley would have it. It seems that the strength of the forged knife Thunder Valley owner should not be underestimated. Du Tianfeng's voice just finished speaking, and suddenly Xiao Yang's body was full of strength. The Lord of Soul Eater couldn't help exclaiming. Thor scroll? What is this? Xiao Yang asked hurriedly. This thing is extremely complicated to say, but it is simple to understand. You can think of it as a one-time scroll. On the Thor scroll, it carries an extremely tyrannical power. That power is enough to resist the power of the 5-star fighting immortal. Any blow. The Master of Soul Eater said indifferently. What? A full-strength blow below the strength of the 5-star fighting immortal? The Soul Eater had just finished speaking, and immediately caused an extremely tyrannical shock in Xiao Yang's heart. If I use the 3 holy flame fusion, can I resist with this scroll? The next moment, Xiao Yang also asked slowly. This was the first time Xiao Yang heard about the Thor scroll, so he couldn't help asking. I see it hard. This Thor scroll contains an extremely tyrannical force of prohibition. This mysterious force of prohibition can isolate the energy that weakens all attributes, so it can easily resist attacks, but your 3 holy flames are combined with this fighting skill. The power is not comparable to ordinary fighting skills, no matter how tyrannical the Thor scroll is. It is impossible to resist all. So I estimate that if you use the Thunder God scroll for defense, you can weaken a large part of your power, so that you will be hungry for the 3 holy flames to fuse most of the instant kill effects. But even if you use the Thunder God scroll to defend the 3 holy flames, serious injuries are inevitable. The Thor scroll is very powerful. Although it can isolate most of the power of the 3 holy flames, the power of the holy flame, even a trace, is enough to seriously injure an opponent. The Soul Eater analyzed. It seems that this number 1 must be obtained. Xiao Yan nodded slowly, because he knew that the strength of the heavens chosen above Dongju had already reached the perfection of the 2-star Dozyan, and it was only 1 step away from the 3-star Dozyan, and the 4-star Dozyan was only 1 step away. There are even more monsters in the continent. I am afraid that I will meet the real Samsung fighting immortal, so this Thor scroll must be obtained. This level of trump card is essential for Xiao Yang. Because only by successfully standing out from the 4 continents competition, can you help your master to find the thing that restores its origin. It's actually a Thor scroll? Father is really willing to. Duo Chifei immediately said angrily after listening to Duan Tianfeng's eloquent words. This Thor scroll is the proud work of the master of the Thunder Valley Valley. It is said that this valley owner has the thunder attribute almost at a high level. With some special opportunities, he has mastered the production of this kind of scroll-like. The production of Thor scrolls is quite mysterious and extremely time-consuming. Even if it is thousands of years of forging swords, Thunder Valley has only just produced 5 scrolls. Forging knife Lei Jiyu is actually willing to take out such a precious thing as a reward for the championship, which is enough to attract anyone's attention. The Thunder God Scroll. The forging knife Thunder Valley is really a big aura. Although this Thor scroll is only a one-time thing, its value is probably more precious than any high-level fighting skills. Du Tianfeng's voice just fell, and it immediately caused a commotion in the audience. The top 25 advance to the competition will end today. 3 days later, 13 strong men will advance to the top 9, and the ownership of the top 6. After Duan Tianfeng finished speaking, everyone left. And with Duan Tianfeng releasing such a tempting bargaining chip, it aroused extremely fierce reactions from the 13 people. Obviously, the competition for the Thor scroll will be more intense. This video will end here.